Hi, Haimantika. Could you please briefly introduce about yourself?
Hi, Shashank, and hi everybody who is watching or hearing us. I'm Haimantika Mitra, and I'm currently a developer advocate at Hashnode. And previously, I have worked at Appwrite and Microsoft, and I have been in this tech journey full time for 3 years now. And before that, I was a part of various communities like CNCA, where I was also an LFX mentee. So I come from a background where I like tech, where I love open source. Like is an understatement for that, and I also love communities. So that's a brief about me. And other than that, I have this cool terminal or an npm package that I ask everybody to go to their terminal and type. So go to your terminal, type npx space hello hyphen Haimantika. So that's where you'll see a brief about me. You'll also
Mhm.
find my portfolio there, a very simple portfolio. But if you're interested to know my social media handles or read blogs, that's where you will find it. So yes, that's all about me. Other than that, as a person, I love food, both cooking and eating. I love traveling a lot, and I also love gardening. And I like people, so I'm a big people's person, which is why, which also, tells why I am in a career like this, where I need to meet and communicate with people very often. So, yes, that's all about me, and I'm excited to chat more.
Okay, so first question, how did you like begin your journey? Like before this like
Mm-hmm.
career, what you used to do? Like you are a BTech student, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I did my BTech in electronics, right?
Okay, then how did you get to know about these communities, open source, and whatever is going around?
Correct. So I used to code since I was 10 or 11, I guess, like from school. And then in my plus two, I took a biology because that is when I wanted to do something else in life. And then in my college life as well, I didn't want to do engineering. I wanted to do journalism, or I wanted to study something related to biology.
Mm.
But then life happened and I chose engineering. And to be very honest, I wasted the first 2 years of my life, of my engineering life, to be precise. And I come from a college where we didn't have a lot of exposure, where we didn't have, the clubs that you see in colleges or anything like that. And the projects that we used to build, since I was an electronics students, those are cool projects back then, like building a smart dustbin or something like that. I most of IoT and a few ML
Okay.
stuff. And only when I sat with my laptop and I used to scroll through LinkedIn, not Twitter, but only LinkedIn, as to see a lot of folks my age. They are doing wonderful things in life. They are meeting people. They know about so many things that I had no idea about. And that is when I came across this term called Microsoft Student Partners. Now it's called the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador Program. So I applied and I got selected. That's where my life started taking a turn, because that is where I started learning lot of tech skills and a lot of people skills as well. And by tech skills, like I used to build a lot of things with Azure and Power Platform. And I used to also post on Twitter. I didn't know back then, like in 2020, early 20, that it's called built in public. I just used to randomly post, and I had around 10 or 15 followers, I guess. And slowly, people used to notice that. And then I was invited as a speaker for a big conference that Microsoft hosts, called Microsoft Build. And I was a student. I went in and I talked about what are the cool apps that are built using Power Platform. So I kept doing that, and I got my first internship as an app developer, and it was in a US startup or about Power Platform. So two things that helped me was cold DMing the hiring manager that, hey, I see you have an opening for a full-time employee, but I don't have full-time experience, but I do have the experience you need. And maybe you can hire me for, I was lowballing myself that you can hire me for a lesser amount, but I'm eager to learn, and I also bring to the table some experiences. So he was really
Mhm.
impressed by that, and he interviewed me. I had around 2 to 3 rounds of interview, and then I got the internship there. So that was my first technical internship, and before that I used to work at a startup in India itself, and that had to do with some amount of community management and some amount of automation with Python as well. So that was there, but my actual internship started with as an app developer in a US based startup. And then that is when my love for Microsoft kept growing, because I love the people there, I love the company, the culture and everything, and I wanted to go into that company. So I kept applying a lot of times, and I got rejected multiple times as well, until I participated in a hackathon and finally got an internship and then a full-time offer. But that role there was of support, and like it's a technical support, and it has nothing to do with you building with tech. And I wanted to be in a role where I'm getting to build with tech plus also talk with people. So I knew about developer advocacy, and that's when even Appwrite had an opening. So I applied, and I was at Appwrite for 2 years, and then now I have changed my ships and my ship and joined Hashnode. So yeah, that's a big. I know I went on for a while, but yeah, that's the entire
Yeah.
story about
So,
what I did and where I am right now.
so very commendable, first of all. And I would like you to tell us like what is developer advocacy and how is it different from general software engineering SDE roles?
Right. Right. So, as like to go over the definition, what we do as developer advocates or as a DevRel. So, I'll give you a brief idea first. Like DevRel is a big umbrella, right? And under that, you have people under different roles, and some of them are called developer advocates. Some of them are technical writers, and you have people who are community managers, and you have developer marketers. So, there are people with different roles, and they are also performing different I would say job responsibilities in their companies. And also a tricky part about DevRel is that it's a very niche role, and different companies have different expectations from this role. So my job will be very different to a job of a person who might be in a bigger company. Like in startups, it might be a bit different, or in companies which is a dev tool company, or in a company which is maybe some has some other products. So that's where your job responsibilities will differ. But what my job includes is to be a bridge between the engineering team of my company, and to be and the other end of the bridge is the community of developers. So, and how do I do that? I do that by writing technical documentations, the documentations that we all read, or by making video tutorials. So in a way, I am teaching developers that okay, I am aligned with this product, and this is how you can use my product. There are chances that you wouldn't know the product that I'm aligned with, but you will probably know JavaScript, or you'll probably know Golang or Python. That's where I come in and I say that okay, you don't know the product I'm aligned with, but you may be knowing this technical skills, or might be knowing these frameworks and programming languages, and I'll be building demos and integrations, and I'll be sharing the word with you. And like I mentioned, so the code part of a job is to build integrations or demos, and the content part of a job is to write technical documentation, various articles, and also to create video tutorials. But not all of us do that. Bigger companies have different people doing it, but in smaller companies, mostly there is only one person who is wearing multiple hats. And then
Yeah.
the third C of this role is the community part. So we have a community of developers, and what we do is we take feedbacks from them and see what are the areas that we can improve in our product. So that is one part. Then we host different events or meetups, so that people can come and talk about the product, or these developers can also meet other fellow developers and learn something. And or we can also build programs, for example, a writers program, something like that. Or if we are an open source company, we can participate in Hacktoberfest and ask our developers that we are participating in Hacktoberfest, we are open source, if you want to contribute, you are more than welcome to do that. So there are different ways by which we engage with the community. So that's a part of our job as well. So we wear multiple hats, and really to give difficult to give one particular definition of this role. But if since you asked what I do, that this is exactly what I do, and like the three C's, and I do each one of it.
So how many hours do you
Yeah.
work in a day, like on an average? Is it like weekends also you
Uh,
work?
No, no. So, like I have worked in companies so far which are very flexible with timings. So it depends on me. But generally, it says like every company say 8 to 9 hours a day, right?
Okay,
And if you are finishing the work that you have been assigned within 4 to 5 hours, so that's good enough. So it's really flexible, and nobody is there
that's
to
great.
clock your hours. Yeah, that's there. And weekends, so a lot of times these meetups happen on the weekends, and like let's say I work at Hashnode, and we have a meetup coming up on 10th, and it's on a weekend. So if you consider them, then that's when we're working on the weekend. But a DevRel or developer advocacy is a job which I consider is a job. It has a lot to do with passion as well. Initially, it
Right.
might look good or fancy, on social media, but when you do it, it requires a lot of dedication and context switching, and it requires a lot of focus as well, and time commitments as well. But for us, it's fun, that I am excited that I will be going on a Saturday and meeting people, or I'll be networking with people, or I'll be sharing my knowledge. So I am excited for that. But if you are somebody who is not interested to do it, and you're just doing it because it's cool on the internet, that's when you'll find it difficult to stay on the job. But other than that, this is if you ask if you need to work on the weekends, it's a no. But sometimes for meetups we do, and then if you want, you can take the Monday off. So yeah, it's
Okay.
really flexible.
So what are the key parameter indicators for a person to choose between DevRel or developer? Like for asking for a college student who is in final year.
Great. So, for a student, I would say that it's very necessary to have some development experience before, because you, as developer advocates, you are considered, since you are somebody who is talking to a developer. So, if you haven't been in a in a developer's shoe first, it's difficult for you to understand the problems and communicate with
For
them.
sure.
So, for students, I'll ask that it's better to have some development experience, 1 or 2 years, and then if you think that okay, I want to do more than just code, then obviously your doors are open and you can become a DevRel.
Okay, so which all
Yeah,
companies do provide opportunities to become a DevRel? How to find what is the best source to know, like for the openings? For example, for the software
yeah,
development roles, it is easily available on LinkedIn or Career 360 or other websites like
correct,
that. But for DevRels,
correct,
I want
correct.
to know.
Yeah, so even for developer advocacy roles or any general developer roles, you'll find it on LinkedIn. But the companies, the role numbers or the openings aren't as much as software developers,
Right.
and not every company has this opening. Some companies, like mostly product-based companies or companies that are catering to developer as an audience or have APIs or SDKs, that's where developer advocates come to place. And even companies like that, for example, they do not have this role, but people are doing the same kind of work. For example, a solution engineer, yeah, you'll be doing the exact same thing that a DevRel does, but then you'll be focused on the sales part as well, or you'll be dealing with clients face to face. So there are different ways to, or there are different I would say career paths or trajectories that you can go, if you want to stay in a similar role which has a good combination of communication plus code plus some writing as well, or some content creation as well. So there are other job roles as well that where you can do this. And in terms of openings, I mentioned that the LinkedIn is definitely one of them, and then there is this site called Developer Careers, and there are different newsletters as well that you can follow, and there's a
I
Slack
follow
channel
your
called Devrel
newsletter as well.
Collective.
You have
Yeah,
your
in my
newsletter.
newsletter, I don't. Yeah, yeah, but I don't usually post about openings. But there are other newsletters as well, like Devrel Collective has a Slack channel, and they usually post if any companies are hiring. So yeah, that's there. But even bigger companies, for example, Microsoft, Google, Salesforce, Zoom, all of these companies also has openings. So if you're aiming for a bigger company, you can also check out their career page. It's the places where you'll find these jobs are very, very similar to a software engineering job as well, but the openings are much, much lesser as compared to a normal software engineering job.
So while the interview, what
Yeah.
do they look for except for developer experience? Like, do they look for networking skills, communication skills, and build your personal
Yeah.
brand, anything related to that? Number of followers on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so far I like the interviews that I've given, it has really differed from one company to other. I'll give you an example of how
Yeah,
it looked at Microsoft. So there, since I was aiming to become a Power Platform cloud advocate, so there I was given a list of the KPIs and metrics, which due to company policies I wouldn't be letting in
sure,
this
sure.
call. But then I was given an idea of what are the things that they are looking for, what are the numbers that matter to me. And then I normally had I had a culture round, and then I had a technical round where I was asked some questions about Power Platform, since that is the specific product that I was going to be aligned with. And then I was asked to, make a demo, and I had to present it thrice in front of different interviewers, and then they kept giving me feedbacks. And what they were also seeing is the technical knowledge that I have, and how I can explain a complex topic in simpler words. So I would say that's where they were testing my
Okay,
communication skills as well, and they were also testing my technical skills. So this is and then the final round is where my manager's manager had with me, and then that was then he asked some DevRel specific questions, and also some culture fit questions. So that's how it was in Microsoft. And at Appwrite, I first had a culture fit round, and then I was given an assignment, not really an assignment, but kind of a sheet where I had to rate myself on certain technical skills, on certain programming languages, and then I rated myself and gave them back. Then after a few, but this was back, 2 years back. I don't know how the interview process
okay,
is right now. Some companies might give you an assignment, like they'll ask you to build a demo or an integration and ask you to present that. That's generally how most DevRel interviews are happening right now. But what I went through is what I'm explaining. And then in the next call, let's say I rated myself 8 out of 10 in JavaScript. So I was asked questions based on that, and some questions about normal APIs, how the internet of works, and all of these, the protocols and everything that was there, and some DevRel specific questions as well. And since I mentioned DevRel specific questions, for example, they tell me that what's your favorite documentation, and why do you like it. That's where they see what is my idea about documentation, and
yeah,
how do I perceive things, or how much knowledge do I have over developer experience, like DX, and all of these. And then the final round is when your manager, or if there's a manager's manager, like depends on the hierarchy of the company. That's when they have a normal chat with you. They won't be asking you much questions, but they tend to see how you're as a person, if your goals align with that of the companies, and they finally give you an offer. So that's how I have seen interviews happening over the few years now.
okay. What are some important
Yeah.
resources which people should follow in order to be a DevRel? Like it can be any newsletter, it can be any GitHub repositories or Slack channels or Discord servers which you can recommend to them.
Yeah. Um, so there are no such resources, like unlike in software development, you can tell that this is the kind of questions that they'll ask. For example, you can tell them that practice graph questions, or practice these algorithms. Maybe you can be asked questions on this. So with Devrel, that's not really the case, and there's not one route to do things. So what I do is that I tend to read books. For example, there's a book called the Developer Relations book, and if you can read that, then you'll get a better idea about it. Or
Okay.
there are other DevRel weekly newsletters as well that you can subscribe to. So basically, these are all collection of articles where different experienced developer advocates or DevRel professionals, they write about their experiences or their take on certain topics, and then they share. So that's how you keep learning. And this is one field that has been changing over the last few years, like be it title wise, or be it responsibility wise. So um, and it's like typical to any software engineering roles as well. Like if you were a developer years back and you started with COBOL, you need to learn, the top performing languages right now. So similarly with the DevRel as well, like things were a bit different during COVID, and things were a bit different before COVID, and things are different after COVID. Like previously, there used to be no online sessions or anything. There used to be only offline meetups or offline interactions with people. And during COVID, it was all online. Then slowly it turned into hybrid, but now slowly people are again going back to offline mode. So there are different things that keeps changing, and you need to keep learning. You need to follow the right people in this industry. And there are also some GitHub repositories which give you a list of other I'll share that to you
Sure, sure.
on Twitter, so that you can pin it on the description. So there are different ways to stay updated, I believe, and this is also one job where you learn on the job. And I think this is also very true for software engineering or any other roles as
Yeah.
well, that you come with a set of ideologies, but there are so many different challenges that you face during the job that you are supposed to learn on the job. So yeah, that's all.
Um, what is like the hierarchy of a DevRel? Like suppose for software engineering, it's like software engineer one, two, then principal
Hmm.
engineer, software senior principal,
Yeah.
and so on. So in DevRel, how is it like that?
So what you mentioned right now, like SD1, SD2,
Yes.
these are also company specifics. Like some company has just software engineer, senior software engineer, engineering manager. So
Yeah, yeah,
even
like
for
that only.
DevRel, like yeah, you can become a developer advocate, a senior developer advocate, or you can become a DevRel lead, a VP, and a similar hierarchy. It really
Okay, okay.
depends. Or if you want, I have seen many people who go back to software engineering as well. I have
Oh,
seen people who go to roles like program and technical program management. I've seen people who go into roles like product management as well. So the total depends on what you want to do in life. And I also see people who quit the corporate world in all, and then they start their own agency. So there are multiple ways to see things, and it depends on what you want to do in your life personally.
okay. So what is the most challenging part of your job which you face in day-to-day life?
Yes, so as a DevRel, we need to wear multiple hats, and there is a lot of context switching that happens. So that I believe is, is a big. I wouldn't say that it's a problem, but a challenge, because there are so many things that you need to keep track of and perform equally good in all of these areas. So that's one thing that I believe is challenging, and I think that it's also a good kind of challenge, because it forces you to think and deliver good results, or like we say that make it reduce the time complexity or the space complexity. So that's how we need to think in a way where it reduces the complexity of, or we need to think smartly, that gives a solution that can be replicated multiple times. So I think that that's one of the challenging parts, and it's a good kind of challenge.
Okay, so one question, like as we see in Faang, there is a huge pay scale which they offer, right? So in comparison to
Hmm.
Faang, how much like we can say DevRel offers in the pay range? Like,
um
is it
at
like
what I know,
at
yeah.
par?
So yeah, it's at it should be at par, and sometimes it's more or less as well.
Okay,
It depends on the company. So far, from the different folks that I know in this domain, they are either paid the same, or a few people are even paid more. So it really depends
that's
on the
awesome.
companies, what I believe, and also under which organization it comes under. Like in certain companies, it comes under engineering. In some companies, it comes under, like DevRel have their own own team and own org, and in some companies it comes under marketing as well. So like I mentioned, it's a very versatile job role, and that there are different factors that come into play, and which decides where you sit or what your responsibilities are.
Okay. So
Yeah.
one more question I was thinking to ask you is uh, how difficult it is to like manage your time and what applications do you use to manage your time? Like, are there some task managers or you just note it
Yeah.
down on some diary or how do you manage?
Correct. So I have been very organized, and this is one skill that I'm very proud of
Okay,
myself, very organized. And what I do is, like, on a weekend, I'll just sit and think of all the things that I need to do, and I make a list of it either on my phone's notes app, or I have a diary and pen. I'm old school, and I just write down, okay, these are the things that I need to do. Other than that, we have task management tools in every company. Like we use Linear right now. Previously, we have been using Asana, and some companies might use Jira or some other tools, but we also have that. Then this is only used for company purposes, so that they get to know what you're working on. But on a personal basis, I like to follow the either Notes app. That's also I use very less, but I mostly write on my diary and pen about all the things that I need to do. So yeah, that's how I manage my work so far.
Okay, so in a day, how many meetings you have to attend? Like, how many hours of meeting do you attend, and how many hours of self-exploration do you do?
I have been mostly working remotely, so we have a very async culture both in Appwrite and even in Hashnode as well.
Okay,
And a lot of our work is done through text messages, or we are collaborating a lot on Notion or Microsoft Docs or something
okay,
like that. So the meetings are very few until it's absolutely necessary, or let's say if I'm having a one-to-one with my manager just to give him a brief, or to give him a list of things that I'm stuck with and I need his approval. So that's all, and my meetings are very limited. It's not a lot. Maybe 2 or 3 meetings in a week. That's it.
okay, then that's awesome. And
Yeah.
who are the top three DevRels which one should definitely follow in order to stay updated with the community, as per you?
Okay, that's a very difficult question. So I'll give full credits to my last manager, which is Tessa. She is has been a mentor to me, Tessa Mero. You can follow her on Twitter. Like, she is
Okay,
an inspiration to me, and she is a mentor to me while during the job and even now. So Tessa is definitely one of them. And there are actually a lot of good devils. And then there is another person called Christopher Noring. He works at Microsoft. So when I was at Microsoft, he was one person who used to guide me through a lot of things, and I do look up to him. And then there is another person. He is not a DevRel by profession, but he is an engineer, but has been very active in Kubernetes communities. His name is Davanam Srinivas, or Dims is the name that he is popular by. So he's another person that I closely follow. Other than that, there is Tessa Crystal as well, who works at Snapchat. Then there is Tracy Lee. Then there is Rizel. Then from India, there is Aditya Oberoi. Then there is
I know him.
Aishika Bhattacharya as well. Then there is
Okay.
Pratim Bhosle. Then there are so
Yeah, I
many
know
other
her as
people.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's a lot of people that I look up to, but I can give you an entire list, or if
Okay,
anybody's interested, you can go to my following list, and these are the people I follow and look up to.
sure, sure. Um,
Yeah.
Apart from that, so what are your future aspirations? Like, how are you planning to see yourself in next 2, 3 years? Are you planning to move abroad,
Okay.
or like you want to stay in India?
Yeah. No, so far my idea is that I'll be staying in India because I believe the vision in India and I see the growth. I know, like the way India is growing, it's only bound to grow even more, especially in the tech space. And that is where I want to stay. I definitely do not want to leave my country, but yeah, that's all. I really, with the amount of startups that is growing, and with the kind of opportunities that you have, India is the place to be. Like Jeff Bezos, I think he mentioned that this
Yeah,
is not India's decade. Like, it's going to be the era of Indian era. So I totally believe in that. I call me patriotic, but it's not just me being patriotic, but there are numbers that tell the same. Like, there's even GitHub who comes up with numbers saying that possibly by 2023 India will be surpassing the number of technologists in US. So yes, I definitely believe in that vision, and I want to stay here. I want to see India's growth, and if there is any way that I can help the entire tech space or startups grow, I would be more than happy to do it. So
okay. So one question I would like to ask
yeah,
is, who has been your mentor for a longer period of time in your life, right from your beginning in your career,
yeah,
BTech? So who are those?
correct. Not at the beginning of my BTech days, but towards the end. So there's this person at Microsoft called Donna Sarkar, and currently, she is in the in the AI field. I think director of AI, I don't exactly remember her title, but then she is somebody who has been mentor to me throughout, and it's been almost 4 to 5 years, and we are still in touch. We haven't met personally or physically yet, but we are still meeting over calls. And she's one person who I really look up to and who has been a mentor. So most people in tech have been very, very kind to me, both men and women and other genders as well. So yes, that's one thing that I, if since you asked me to take names, I just took one name, but there are many such people who have been very helpful to me.
Okay, so how important it is for us to have a mentor in our journey, as per you?
Oh, yeah. It's quite important. I forgot to name another person who has been, a very big support to me, and that person is called Orkuduti Shaham. So he's from India as well, and he was in the Devrel space, and he slowly moved in the program management. So yeah, he has been a senior plus a mentor to me, and I believe that is it's very important because we, no matter wherever we are in a career, it's very easy for us to be demotivated or have multiple thoughts crossing our path, crossing our minds, and we can easily be confused about what we want to do in life, or the overthink and then mess things up. So having somebody who can help you gain confidence or explain things, or people who can share their own stories and tell you that okay, I have been in the same place. I know that there are rough times or hard times that will come, but you will face it, and will help you follow the path, or give you some direction in life. There is no hand holding that you can expect, and I don't think you should expect that either. But they'll give you certain advices that you should be smart enough to know how to execute it and plan accordingly.
Okay, thank you so much, Haimantika.
Yeah,
These were the questions that I would wanted you
yeah,
to ask. Any other thing which you would like to share to our audience? Any anything like
yeah.
any
No,
advice?
no, not really. Just one thing for anybody who is in the tech space, that never stop learning. This is something that everybody, no matter how many years they're in the industry, they keep telling me that if you are in tech and if you want to continue in tech, make sure that you come with the mindset of that. Okay, I will be a lifelong learner. So that's one thing that you should be ready for as well. Don't think that okay, now I have I have a job and that's it, that I'll go to my job and I'll do the same thing and I'll come back. So that's not it. You need to be always learning to keep yourself relevant in the industry. So that's the one last thing that I had to say.
Thank you so much, Haimantika, for your time.
Thanks a lot.